किस चीज़ की? Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. In his interview to the Washington Post, Imran Khan was categorical about wanting an equal relationship with the United States. He said that Pakistan does not want to be part of anyone else's war. His narrative that the military and the government in Pakistan are at one in all respects seems to have permeated the White House, in resulting in a request from President Trump in our facilitation for bringing the Taliban, the Afghan Taliban, to peace talks. We'll be discussing the ramifications of this very difficult, arduous task. We'll also be talking about the general situation as far as Azam Sawati's resignation, the impact of politics. We'll be talking about accountability. We'll be talking about the 100 days of the PTI government, the role of the opposition and the government that has to be parallel for there to be legislation, for there to be the kind of government that can actually progress. We'll be talking about all of that. I have with me Zulkarnain Shah Sahab, who's leader PTI. Thank you for joining us today. Zaid Gashkori Sahab, who's a senior analyst. Thank you for being with us today. We'll also be joined by Chaudhry Jafar Iqbal, who will be with us, leader PMLN. Thank you for being with us, Chaudhry Sahab. Shah Sahab, to start off with you, like I said, the fact that the interview itself, it seems to have had its impact that has resulted in the request from President Donald Trump. How do you see, of course, the task itself, the request, whatever it may mean, it's not easy. And itself, it may have a lot of ramifications for us as far as, if we are successful, if we are not successful, how do you look at it?
Maruf, if you check the history of Imran Khan and the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, the stand on the foreign policy and especially on Afghanistan and Taliban issue, Khan was categorically clear that the solution of Afghanistan is in the dialogue process.
Right.
There was no other option and still there is no other option.
And he was criticized for it,
yeah.
But we are exactly where, and he mentioned this during this interview also.
So from the day start, PTI has a clear vision about the Afghanistan strategy, not only Afghanistan, but also with the United States relation and India particularly.
Right.
So now the world is a witness that the United States has to come on that solution which Khan was suggesting.
Right, right.
And inshallah, you will see that the Pakistan will play.
But it's not easy. It certainly is a very difficult task. We've seen, the kind of issues that we've faced in the past with regard to this.
No doubt, it's a complicated issue, and the United States is at a major stake because now he has to withdraw his forces, and the victory of the Taliban or the future of Taliban is very much clear to the world. So the one.
But you're hopeful that we will be able to play the kind of role.
Without Pakistan, it's not possible. Therefore,
and I think perhaps the United States is recognizing this.
It will be better for the Pakistan, and Pakistan has to play the role, and Pakistan can play strategically role, and it will be good for the region.
Right. Zaid Sahab, do you think that that United States is finally acknowledging and recognizing the role that they need Pakistan to play in this very difficult, arduous task?
Thank you, Maruk. Yes, of course, it's a very positive step, at least taken by the United States for the first time. You know that if you go to earlier this year, on the first day, January 2018, President Trump tweeted that Pakistan was not supporting us. No longer we were expecting any support from it. They cheated us like that. And after that, now, he tweeted again after 10 months. Then Imran Khan responded him even on Twitter. So it's a positive sign. United States at least is now acknowledging, and of course credit goes to Prime Minister Imran Khan because he made it clear that how Pakistanis were giving lives for the peace process and the war and terror loss and all these things. It was made clear otherwise. That's why the message came from White House.
Right.
And then now Pakistan responded diplomatically well. But important thing is Pakistan have to look into broader perspective in the region. You know that United States already almost lost its war in Afghanistan, and there seemed to be no solution, only to engage Pakistan in the peace process and bring Taliban on negotiation table, and that's what Afghan government needed exactly, because election years and the Taliban share in the peace process and the government as well, and of course.
But what are your thoughts about the role that we can play, considering, you know, like I keep saying, it's not going to be easy. We know what's happened in the past. We know the kind of relationship we ourselves have, you know, with Taliban. We don't really have any that, you know, we don't have a pull over them as far as the Afghan Taliban are concerned. We do have a strategic, you know, we have a strategic role that we can play because of our position. But what kind of, you know, what kind of a position do you think we will place ourselves in if we really, you know, try to get into trying to establish, bring them to for peace talks?
Actually, look, the most important thing, once there was a time that Pakistan enjoyed very good trust of Afghan Taliban, bringing them on negotiation table, a lot of talks. But right now, there seem to be that Pakistan perhaps gradually losing its ground in Afghanistan when it comes to win trust of Afghan Taliban. On certain reasons, you know that their chief was also attacked in Pakistan and Balochistan, and then there are reports that now new negotiation between Afghan Taliban and the government might be held in Quetta or maybe in Qatar or Doha, like that. But these all are, there are many players, you know, in Afghanistan, the environment of India and Russian role, and China also playing very dominating authoritative role in the region. So that's what Trump administration even was very much sure about Pakistan role. But
Right.
is the question is that does Pakistan still enjoy a good relationship with the Afghan Taliban? Because there were stories recently in international press that 4 more Afghan Taliban leaders be released by Pakistan. So there are certain hopes. With all these hopes, Pakistan also facing new challenges in the region with the neighboring countries, and the Pakistan new Prime Minister also gave hope once that
Right.
about 1.5 million Afghan refugees,
Right.
Pakistan can consider their citizens status here in the country, but there later on there were reaction from many political parties.
Let me go on to Chaudhry Jafar Iqbal Saab. Jafar Saab, do you think that you know, the kind of situation that we're in, our strategic, do you think that we're in a position to play the kind of role that the United States has requested us to play?
Thank you very much, Maruk, and thank you to PTV World for giving me the chance to represent my party on this issue, the relationship between US and Pakistan. With due apology, Pakistan and US can't discuss these things at the even level. There is a hell of difference in this world, unipolar world. Americans enjoy the powers of a superpower and the only superpower in the world at this time. But in last tenure, when we took oath as members of National Assembly and the Premier at that time, Mia Mohammad Nawaz Sharif, led that government, I remember the first session of the National Assembly. Addressing the first session of the National Assembly of Pakistan at that time, Mia Mohammad Nawaz Sharif, in his words, that we can't change our neighbors, we have to live with our neighbors. Right. When we decide our foreign policy regarding this region we are living, so what Mia Nawaz Sharif did, he tried to collaborate with China, to collaborate with Russia, to collaborate with Afghanistan and Turkey to resolve the issues of this region. Americans are not in this favor. They don't need any such relationship between Pakistan and Russia, Pakistan and China and Afghanistan. If we have been, not if, but we have tried in last 4 years.
You're right.
We
as far
succeeded.
As, our strategic position is concerned, we cannot afford to exist in isolation. There's no doubt about that. But do you think that the kind of firm stance that has come from this government, from the Prime Minister right now, has yielded a reaction from Donald Trump.
The body language and language of Mr. Imran Khan. So I have a different opinion. When you are heading atomic or nuclear power and you are addressing Americans in this way, you are tweeting in such not a diplomatic language. So I don't think that my Prime Minister, leader of Pakistan, should do things like that. We must use our diplomatic
the kind of the kind of language that was coming from there, we needed to also perhaps set a tone. We need to be respected. This is what the Prime Minister has been saying.
First of all, the war between Afghanistan and Russia, if Imran Khan says that was not our war, yes, that was. What was the target of USSR after Afghanistan? That was obviously Pakistan. So if we were fighting, or we have fought that war in Afghanistan.
I think he's talking about the war on terror when he says that the lives that we have lost and the kind of losses that we have suffered far outweigh whatever we've gained, and which is what he's been saying to the United States.
When we are talking on war or terror, that was our own creation. After the coup of Pervez Musharraf,
they decided... think that the United States has treated Pakistan in a manner not befitting to our sacrifices in the war of terror?
No, Americans will never consider our sacrifices. We haven't sacrificed for Americans. We have sacrificed for our own land. But we sacrificed those lives because of Americans. After USSR was out from Afghanistan, who gave space to Americans to be there in Afghanistan? It was Pakistan. It was Pervez Musharraf. We provided them the air routes and airspace routes. We provided them land routes. We provided them, they utilized our sea territories. They utilized our air bases. And they were combating against the Taliban. Who were Taliban? Taliban were the real owners of Afghanistan. And they have fought against Afghanistan. They defeated, they fought for Afghanistan. And they defeated Russia. After defeating Russia, if Americans...
Do you think, Chaudhry Saab, that we can play a role as far as, perhaps bringing the Taliban towards peace talks?
Not can, we are playing. What I was marking, that was the last meeting held in 2017 in Russia. First ever in last 30 years, that meeting was between Afghanistan, Russia, Turkey, Pakistan and China, without Americans. So Americans have serious concerns about this bloc if we are going to deal our issues within this region. And we are not inviting Americans to be with us to share those things or share that power.
Right. Chaudhry Saab, please stay with us. I'm going to go to Shah Saab right now. Shah Saab, as far as, let's move on. Let's talk about Azam Swati. You have, as far as, all of the politics surrounding his resignation, as far as accountability is concerned, after, the very public resignation of, as far as, there's been criticism, there has been lots of talk about the fact that, the Supreme Court is saying this and Azam Swati is not resigning. There was a lot coming from the opposition, and now we finally have that resignation.
Before coming to Azam Swati, I want to answer Chaudhry Jafar Saab. Chaudhry Jafar Saab was objecting on the Prime Minister body language during the dialogue. But I think Chaudhry Saab, you remember very well the bold and the courageous role of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif on the stand of the foreign policy and particularly Afghanistan. Unfortunately, when you have a vested interest of the individual and the Rawalpindi family and the Sharif family has their own agenda and their own vested interest, therefore they didn't speak a single word against India when they were involved in the Kabul and they were penetrating into the Pakistan. So Khan proved it that he is a leader and he has a standard, he has a clear vision. Now therefore you are all institutions on the one page. Now coming back to Azam Swati. let's
You know, Babar Awan was resigned, and there were allegations, you know, as far as accountability is concerned, he was one person. And now we've had the resignation of Azam Sawati also.
Yeah.
There was a lot of criticism, like I said, you know, a lot of things were said about it. Do you think that the effects of the resignation, perhaps, you know, if it had come a little sooner, would have been better?
I think in the larger picture it's a good, because the justice is taking its roots, and we should not interfere in the justice. And PTI behavior is totally different from the previous government.
Right.
PTI will not defend if court will take a decision, whether we like it or not. But PTI will accept, will respect the decision of the court, and we are ready to face the courts.
Right. Kashkori Saab, do you think that, you know, the role, how do you take this resignation? Do you think that it's come at the right time?
I think it came little too late, in a way that I know that there are several challenges for the new government. 100 days have
Right.
been passed, and I would just sum up in a way that it's a sort of wayward start on a bumpy road, but in positive direction. So these are the things. First, economic challenge by the government. Rupee value has
Right.
gone down
Right.
historically, and of course that's why Prime Minister.
But the Prime Minister has now expressed full confidence in his economic, you know, in his economic team, when there was a lot, you know, a lot being said about that.
Theories and speculation and stories,
Right.
and I want to share with you a very interesting story that just 2 days ago I spoke to Asad Umar, the finance minister. He was telling me many things, that why these theories and speculations and rumors were in media, that finance minister is going to resign, and economic team deliverance is very poor. But of course, Prime Minister yesterday showed full confidence in his team, and I think this is the only way right now to go with this team. Yes, team might be a sort of poor team, the cabinet. Some members like controversies generated around them, like
I'll let
Zulfi
Shah Saab answer
Bukhari,
that later, but
Zulfi
please
Bukhari,
continue.
and then the Mr. Sawati issue. By the way, Mr. Sawati issue is very serious in a way that if you look into a letter, a very important letter written by Department of Homeland Security from the United States, that how his track record in the US in 2000 and 2001 in Texas has been that he has been cheating over there, and falsely pretending that he
Right, right. So,
is a US citizen.
right.
So this question, his Sadiq and Amin and Article 62, and might attract Supreme Court of Pakistan to look into this issue, the unique case, and other thing in Punjab as well. So the summary about your question is that challenges are here. The new government, the new experience.
You said that, you know, perhaps it came a little late, according to you. You know, you said as far as this resignation is concerned,
Yet it
had
should have come earlier.
It should have come earlier, before, you know, the kind of fallout that there was out of this. But on the other hand, do you think that perhaps, you know, there has been criticism on the PTI government for perhaps, you know, yielding too much to what is being said, not about Azam Sawati, which, like you said, is a serious matter, but about other things also? There seems to be this to and fro exchange that is continuously going on.
Continuously going on, because there were a lot of expectations, hopes,
Right.
and what exactly they have been practicing before coming into power. This tall claims, and you know, that 5 million, the 50 lakh houses, and
that is the reason for this constant engagement, so to speak, you know.
so to speak,
between-
to run a country is a very difficult task, and that's why now, of course, Imran Khan visited back-to-back twice in Saudi Arabia. That's a successful visit, second time, and then in UAE, the good relationship, and then China, and getting out bailout package to still challenge and burden on Pakistan economy. We are not at the right track,
Right.
but still we are hopeful, because 100 days cannot set your right
Right,
direction, that
It's
you
certainly
can
a
commit
very
it.
small amount. Ji, Jafar Saab, as far as his resignation is concerned, as far as, do you think there is this constant to and fro exchange? Like I mentioned, there is this engagement, there is this constant, answering back to what is being said. Why do you think? Is it because, perhaps it is more difficult than it was, thought of now, and it's still very early on, the 100 days, is really not a long period of time at all?
Maruf, no one asked Mr. Imran Khan to respond within 100 days. It was Imran Khan himself who said, okay, let us work for 100 days and then you will see the direction of the country in which we are moving towards achieving our goals, achieving our election slogans, achieving our manifesto. No one in parliament asked Imran Khan to respond within the 100 days. He might have said, yes, we are given chance for 5 years. Let us work 5 years, the whole session, and next elections can determine who will rule next time. But it was himself, Imran Khan.
Sincerity, Jafar Sahab, it's certainly sincerity that is prompted, that has prompted the Prime Minister to set out this period, which is, like everyone is saying, a very, very small, 100 days is no time at all.
No, I have not asked him to answer me. Never Pakistani people asked Imran Khan to respond within 100 days. It was himself, Imran Khan, who said. And the advertisement on the occasion of 100 days was quite funny. We have been busy. Busy in what? What the hell you were doing? He was
but
just sitting in Banigala and watching TV.
Your party was saying a lot of things before the resignation.
Within the
Azam
country.
Swati is now resigned.
As Azam
Before
Swati
this,
Saab, the
Babar
resignation
Awan
is
also
concerned.
resigned. So there seems to be
Babar Awan
the
was
narrative of
involved.
accountability starting
Maruf.
from their own house does seem to stand, does it not?
No. They are not setting any example. If you just remember what Prime Minister said in his interview to the different TV channels about Azam Swati when he was questioned by, I think it was Hamid Mir who asked about what is the fate of Azam Swati in the cabinet. So Imran Khan responded that I know nothing about that. I haven't gone through the files of Azam Swati. Probably, maybe the day that event took place at the farmhouse of Mr. Azam Swati, the cable provider in Banigala was on strike, so Prime Minister was not able to go through the news to watch or see what is happening around him. If he doesn't know about a cabinet member, a case of a senior cabinet member, so what we can expect from him else? On other hand, subordinate as a junior, as a deputy minister,
let me ask Shah Saab, to respond to that. Ji Shah Saab, what can you say about the fact that, the Prime?
If, Maruf, just a minute, I can comment on Mr. Shahryar Afridi, who is State Minister for Interior Affairs. If you just remember first 2 months, so we have seen different videos. He just stops on the side of the road where a police naka is, and a person especially tasked to have to just capture the film of that scene. So how he is shouting on the just constables of the police, how he visits police stations in Rawalpindi in the noon, and just talking about why you are sitting here, whom is responsible for these persons to be in lockup, such like petty things. But he didn't know what is happening in Islamabad. Who ordered for replacement or transfer of IG Islamabad on Saturday? It was Mr. Imran Khan, the Premier. So if Imran Khan orders removal or shifting or transfer of IG Islamabad just for the sake of Azam Swati and responding to the news channels, he says he has no knowledge about that. So where is the truth? What he promised to the people of Pakistan, that I'll be true overall through this period or campaign or being a Prime Minister.
Let me ask, let's Shah Saab respond to that. Ji Shah Saab.
Choi Jafar Saab was saying that what the hell we are doing. Choi Saab, You know what the hell we are doing? We were cleaning your garbage. We were cleaning the garbage of your corruption, your party corruption, and the both party corruption. We were cleaning your vested interest. We were cleaning the policies which you left and the impact on the society. Choy Sahab, you left the inheritance of the milestone and the mega problem for the Pakistan generation. So that help we were doing. And now come to the point of the Azam Swati.
Maruf, can I ask a single question from Shah Sahab?
Ji, Jafar Sahab.
If being a farmer, a small farmer from district Gujarat, cultivating sugarcane on my lands and fields, if I can ask the government, Shah Sahab is representing PTI government at this time in this show, usually crushing season for sugar mills begins from 1st November. Is Nawaz Sharif and Shahbaz Sharif responsible not to beginning the crushing season now in November 2018? Or Jahangir Tareen is responsible for this?
Ji.
Shah Sahab, you are not cleaning our garbage. We have no baggage. We have no garbage.
Sir, we are still facing the Panama. We are still facing the Omni.
My
and the
dear,
trade
just
accounts.
forget Panama. Just answer my question.
He's asking
I think
you
the
a
question,
Farmers of
sorry to
Punjab
interrupt, the
are
question
No,
Jafar
Ji,
Iqbal,
Ji.
roads of Lahore.
Ji Kashkori
I
Sahab. I'll
think
come back to you,
the
Jafar.
question Chaudhary Jafar Iqbal is raising up the productive one about the crushing season,
Right.
because farmers, and I think during the last 4 years, it was perhaps Imran Khan after Pakistan People's Party who always spoke about their rights, and of course now their government, it has been 100 days now, crushing season has delayed, a negotiation successful, remained successful yesterday, I know that, but it got late, at least 15 to 20 days. The government should take it up.
What's
Not
the
only
reason,
the
you know,
issues of
as-
farmers crushing
right.
season, but also the sugar mill owners as well, the export of sugar to different countries and the release of funds to them. So it's a very serious issue.
Right,
And of
right.
course, the
What-
hike in selling out the urea and
Right.
the price hike in different sectors, of course, the value goes down. That's why it happened. But there seem to be, and there should be, a serious effort by the government to resolve this issue immediately, at least the farmer rights, because they are, unfortunately, national mainstream medium is
Right.
not going to highlight their problems.
But why do you think, in your opinion, as an independent journalist, what do you think, caused this delay?
Actually, I told you that during the last 100 days, and both PTI leader and PMLN were just in the cross debate
Right.
on this issue. There are many challenges for the country, and the PTI got the government for the first time here in the center.
Beginning the crushing season.
So the issue was the economic challenge, the regional challenges, security issues,
Right.
the government issue. This is another important factor. And now in Punjab,
Ji, Jafar Sahab, what were you saying? We missed that.
I was just responding. Your question was why government is delaying to start crushing season.
Right.
Because Mr. Jahangir Khan, the ATM of Mr. Imran Khan, has spent lot of money on PTI election campaign and to make PM. He was running with his special planes around the country just to
Right,
collect the
right,
independent
Ji,
members.
Jafar Sahab,
So he spent lot of money. So how he can earn this money? First of all,
Right.
he is a urea and DAP producer. He runs different factories where urea and DAP is produced. We were selling urea on 1400, 1200 per bag. Now it's gone up to
Right.
2000.
Ji, Jafar Sahab,
DAP,
I'll come back to you, but let's
DAP,
focus on, we've diverted a little. We were talking about Azam Swati. Ji,
But I want to respond
Ji Shah Sahab.
about the sugar.
Ji,
GDW, the industry of Jahangir Khan Tareen, has only 3 units. and all the PTI leader has only, I think, 10%, but the remaining 90% belong to the PMLN
Right.
and the People Party
Let's
government.
hope that this issue can be sorted
Inshallah,
out.
government is taking
Right,
it very
right.
seriously, and it will soon.
Right, whoever and whatever has is the
what your
reason
government
for
is
the
taking
delay.
seriously?
Ji, as far as let's move on. As far as accountability is concerned, Ji, Shah Sahab, as far as accountability is concerned, as far as, like I earlier mentioned, Azam Sawati's issue is concerned, do you think that there has been a lot of talk about the fact that the NAB cases on the Sharif family are now proceeding at at a pace in which perhaps the other cases of other leaders are not? How do you respond to that?
I think now it's clear after the Azam Sawati case, accountability is going to across the board, and PTI is also facing. We have a problem with also some NAB laws, but NAB is an independent organization. We have no lane-dean with the NAB, and NAB is taking its roots. Maybe laws have some problem. The parties also pointing out about the NAB laws, but
it has nothing to do with
nothing to do. NAB is an independent organization, and we also are facing with the NAB.
Right. So that's as far as NAB is concerned, there is a lot that has been said, from the point to go before the PTI government, we heard what the Supreme Court had to say. After the government has come in, there is all this talk about NAB being used, and then there's again, I mentioned, the to and fro exchange on NAB in particular. How do you see it, and now there is talk about the fact that, look, as far as the PMLN leadership is concerned, the pace in which the cases themselves are actually are following that, the kind of pace that they are following, that's not happening with regard to, other leaders, perhaps of the PTI. How do you see it as an independent journalist?
Actually, Maruk, look, during the last 2.5 years, the accountability which the record shows during the last 30 months that surrounding around, no doubt that about PMLN and then Pakistan People's Party, and unfortunately the track record of PTI, KPK, which was running the country for 5 long years,
right.
About Ehtisab Commission, Accountability Commission, the outcome was nothing, unfortunately. And now the slogan of PTI, 2 important manifesto, the top in fact were the accountability and to recover looted money
Right.
of Pakistan from different countries and bring this money back to Pakistan. And secondly, about the relationship with neighboring countries.
Right.
So keeping focus on accountability, NAB in fact its conviction ratio is 17.81. During the last 3 years, the National Accountability Bureau, which is dealing with around 5,800 different inquiries, investigation and cases, which involve public money of around 1.4 trillion rupees,
Right.
the 1/4 of Pakistan budget around, and these cases were being pleaded so long since 99 and then 2001, involving big guns, 179 mega corruption cases. About the outcome, it raises a serious question about the performance of top corruption watchdog, and same slogan we have been hearing from PMLN, the previous government, that they want to amend the laws, and
Right.
now
And this
the
is what the PTI is also saying, that reform, as far as institutional reform is concerned, they talk about all institutions.
But the problem exists here for PTI. PTI is working on the very tight number to get legislation passed from the National Assembly and then from the upper house. It's very difficult, and the Prime Minister was rightly saying that they can get ordinance from the President for just a crisis legislation to deal with different issues. So initiative is positive.
But Zahid Saab, as far as the ordinance is concerned, that has given rise to more a lot of things being said as far as the method that is being used, and the kind of relationship that is necessary between the opposition and the government for there to be the for there to
get past
a,
different legislation
yes,
on very important
a
issues
smooth
about
passage
national
to
interest.
legislation, which is very important for any country.
for any country, and that's what the political parties are responsible, and
Right.
particularly the government. The government still seem to be an opposition political
Right.
party in the parliament. I understand that there are certain issues. They have taken stance on many important national issues. That's a positive sign.
Before I go to Shah Sahib, do you think that there were certain things that this government could perhaps have done in a different manner to try to have a better relationship with the opposition, or perhaps it wasn't possible because the principles of accountability that they had to follow necessitated this kind of reaction?
The principle of accountability, what happened to Sharif family? Look, that my observation is
Okay,
that
I'll come back to you. Let me go to Shah Sahib with the same question. Shah Sahib, do you think that it is because of your principle and principal stance on accountability, which the PTI government, the Prime Minister himself does not want to compromise on? Do you think that that is the reason that the relationship, with the opposition cannot perhaps be as smooth as one would like?
We know the price of accountability.
Right.
We are very much clear. And the day first Khan's speech in a assembly, he told the nation that when I will get a grip on accountability in the corruption cases, they will hue and cry. And
So that is, you think that that is the
definitely,
reason?
this is the reason. When you hit the one person on his vested interest, how can you expect that he will behave with a good manner? But for the nation, for the betterment of the Pakistan, we have to adopt this way. We have to
So
go.
do you think that perhaps, to generate goodwill, there were certain things that your government could perhaps have done now that, your government, the PTI is not in the opposition, but they can afford to be perhaps a tad more generous?
If we want to say that we should compromise on some principle,
No.
It's not possible. Not any soft, not any hard arrows, not any lenient point of view on the accountability. Pakistan can't afford it.
Right. Rishkori Sahib, do you think that, perhaps they could have been more accommodating in certain other respects, if not accountability?
Actually, government should show the responsibility, because the appointment of leader of opposition in the limbo, the very important factor, are directly linked to accountability process. And secondly, the formation of standing committees.
Right,
And the other important thing, that now perhaps Pakistan Security
As far as the chairman
Establishment
of the
need
Accounts Committee is concerned.
extension into
Right.
a military course.
Right.
Next month, they are going to get expiration in their terms.
Right.
So that's what exactly the government must be seeing to get 2/3 majority just to get this legislation passed on military court. Number one, this is important issue. And other thing, there are
Like
many
the chairman of the Accounts Committee also. That's also,
account
a
committee,
very, very important
there is a
appointment.
problem over there. And the other one thing is about to review laws and national accountability. Government has almost drafted and in the final stage
Right.
about the new accountability process. And to the other one is the asset recovery unit needs certain legislation and laws amended.
But what could they have done to necessitate the kind of goodwill that is necessary, in your opinion?
Actually,
I mean, to be
Pakistan
honest,
Tehreek-e-Insaf, the ruling party has a good seasoned politician like Pervez Khattak, the defense minister. Shah
Right.
Mahmood Qureshi is a seasoned politician, the Sena Vice, and some sort of other leaders as well who can engage different political leaders in the parliament, like Pakistan People's Party. But Maruf, testing time I could see for Pakistan People's Party in coming weeks, and I don't see that this is the major political opposition which could support PTI. So political polarization and divide in the parliament
But Shah
hurting
Sahib
the
is
lot.
saying that it is because of the accountability that this kind of a reaction is coming from the opposition.
Accountability, of course, it's going on.
When their
in
leadership
different
is,
ranks.
facing courts every day, there is threat of the other parties, as far as People's Party is concerned. There is also that threat, that's very eminent as far as their leadership is
But
concerned.
when you are in the government, actually the problem is that you can't blame for the necessary legislation to opposition political parties. It's your job to maneuver and convince them to come up on the negotiation table. And the problem is that there are number problem in the parliament, not only in National Assembly but also in Senate.
Which is another
I could
challenge
say.
for the government, which is another challenge for your government, Shah Sahib.
No doubt, but I want to come back
Ji,
on
ji,
your foreign
please
policy
go ahead.
issue. Look at in 100 days, what Pakistan achieved. Pakistan has won the game in your eastern border and the Kartarpur. You have won the heart of 120 million of the Sikh Biradari. You are now the main, you are going to play the vital role in the Middle East crisis of the Yemen. And third, the Trump tweet, the Trump letter. It is the victory of Pakistan, that Pakistan in the geopolitics has become the pivotal role and now going to be playing the role for the region.
Right, one really hopes so. But what about locally, you know, as far as Pakistan is nationally speaking? As far as engaging the opposition is concerned, you know, Gishkori Sahib is very right when he says that, you know, it is a responsibility of the government to engage the opposition, to make sure they come to the table as far as, you know, to do whatever give and take necessary. I'm not saying compromise on accountability, so that the passage legislation can be smooth. Otherwise, you know, as far as the numbers are, the way they are, there is a very difficult task for this government, for your government.
What is the exactly expectation of the opposition from the PTI? What should we do for the opposition?
Well, I don't
Can I
think-
add something?
Ji.
Listen, in the parliament, we can rightly see that it's job of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, the ruling party, to engage Pakistan Muslim League on different issues. I know that the opposition is very strong. They have enough numbers. Even they can try in-house change, but the problem exists with them is their top leadership from PMLN and Pakistan People's Party facing serious charges, cases.
So then you do agree
and-
with Shah Sahib. You're saying that, you know, the kind of compromises that they want, perhaps, you know, on principle, the government cannot make
cannot make.
and should not
But the good omen we can witness here that it's happening for the first time in 100 days that 3 top institutions stand united on national cause, like military establishment on different issues, and
Right.
then the Supreme Court of Pakistan. But yes, maybe 7 to 8 coming month could be difficult for the government, but after that we can say the situation could get changed here, like Chief Justice of Pakistan would be getting superannuation next month, and the next Chief Justice of Pakistan perhaps would be the toughest Chief Justice ever in Pakistan history, and the most positive thing about him is he goes by the book.
Right.
His judgment speaks louder.
Right, right.
So he is the person who started Panama case and offshore companies like that,
Right.
and that's why he would have been
Ji Shah Sahib, would you
watching
like to
all
respond?
these
I'm running
cases.
out of time.
Unfortunately, we can't help the opposition in Panama
Right,
case, in
because you cannot compromise when it comes.
scandal, in Omni case.
Right. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for joining us, Zulkarnain Shah Sahib. Thank you for being with us. Syed Kishkori Sahib, thank you for being with us today. As far as accountability is concerned, granted that the opposition cannot compromise and should not compromise on the principal stand of opposition, of accountability, which is something that they have maintained from the point go. But as far as engaging the opposition is concerned, as far as dialogue with the opposition is concerned, as far as bringing them to the table so that there can be an exchange between the opposition and the government so that the passage to legislation can be smooth, which is needed, which is very essential for there to be smooth running in the affairs of the country for Pakistan in every manner. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.